What's up? What's up? What's up? We here today after game 5 victory. Everybody who watches this channel already knows how I feel right now. I feel vindicated. It was two people outside of all the other Golden State fans who believed in Golden State, man. But it was two people I think who had the loudest voice on the internet. Me and Stephen A. Smith. We both said Golden State was going to end up in the finals. I'm not sure if they're going to win it. We can talk about that a little bit too, because they probably be playing Boston. However, I said they was going to be here despite no KD. Everybody needed KD, this, that, and third. No, they didn't. They needed Steph Curry. They needed Klay. They needed Dre. They needed the core. They got their core back, and they got some good young role players to go along with it. They got the boy Poole. They got Kuminga. Kevon Looney came back. Kevon Looney, he's an underrated star in this whole thing too. And the boy Wiggins was a great trade. I forgot they got Wiggins. KD actually helped facilitate the Wiggins trade because he allowed himself to be for a sign and trade when he went to the Nets, and they got D'Angelo Russell, who ended up turning into the Wiggins trade in the long run. But I thought that was a great trade. A lot of people thought that was a terrible trade. I always thought that was a good trade. I thought Wiggins would fit in well. I always said from the very beginning, do not trade. If you out for the Sixers, I wanted them for them to trade Ben to Golden State, and for us to get Wiggins and Poole. But I said for Golden State, that would be a terrible trade. I said if you trying to win a championship, you should not trade Wiggins for Ben Simmons. And they didn't. They kept pat with Wiggins. Wiggins played great defense on Luka this whole series. In my opinion, he wore Luka down. He played great offense and defense against Wiggins. He's one of the main reasons why they won. Even though Klay had the great game tonight, Wiggins was the dude who consistently played every game. Him and Steph were probably the most consistent players. And actually, whatchamacallit too, Kevon Looney. And Draymond do his thing. Draymond do what he do consistently, so I can't hate on Draymond. But when Klay was struggling throughout games 1 through 4, them dudes came to ball, and that's why they won, and that's why they're going back to the championship. And Klay just won the first ever Western Conference Finals MVP award. I thought it was much deserved. He should have had an award, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Go Warriors, they here. Tim, what's your thoughts, my brother? How do you feel about the chef doing what the chef's supposed to do? How you feel about that?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks. They played this is their first time out. This is their first series that they
I ain't going to hate. That's true.
So basically they were outmatched when it came to Golden State. Golden State has had too much firepower. It means more when the team plays together. They've been playing together for a long time. So the young players got a chance to play, getting valuable minutes throughout the year. So just congratulations to Dallas Mavericks. It's only the beginning for Luka and the rest of the team. I'm just looking at Reggie Bullock. He didn't show up like he did the other night. No. So, he only gave you 6 points tonight. So he struggled. I really expected Jalen Brunson to give me more than 10 points in a closeout game. You got to, on the road, as a starter, you got to give me like 25. I need 25. Luka did what Luka did. He had 28 points, but he only shot 10 for 28. But congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. Klay did his thing today. Klay won the game. He dropped 32. He came out there and it was a dominant performance by Klay Thompson.
I agree. I'm not saying nothing different. He owed him this game and he gave it to him. Like, I think they was probably not necessarily riding him in practice, but they probably just motivating him. Come on, bro! Like you've been here before, you've done it before. He was shooting 27%, I think, from 3 or from the field. I'm not sure exactly.
He had 50% today. He shot 8. He hit 8 threes. You hit 8 threes at home in a closeout game, you're probably going to win that game, and he did.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree.
Steph was another. Steph had 15. He had 15 points, 5 for 17.
Yeah, He didn't have a good shooting game at all.
Not at all.
He dropped dimes. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. Klay was cooking early in the beginning. He didn't force stuff. It was only like a couple threes he forced. I mean, but you Steph, you that boy, you shoot, you gonna force some threes throughout the course of the game. But for the most part, he played within himself. He played within the team construct. Klay was cooking. They let Klay cook. The worst thing you can do when a player is cooking is not let him cook. I hate that. We talk about that all the time, and Tim calls B selfish because he feels sometimes that somebody cooking and B want to take the shot, which he does a little bit. But the worst thing you could do when a bull got a hot hand, ride the hot hand. If he done made 3 straight and missed one, go back to him again. Try to see if he can get another streak going. He hot, and that's what they did with Golden State. He did his thing, and Golden State.
We back. We was back the other night. You missed us.
Yeah, we back. Yeah,
we back. And you know, Ephraim is wearing his crown. You know, he hot. He hyped about the whole situation.
I am, and it pains me that everybody.
Not what the pains you. What it pains you? What
it does.
I want you to celebrate. Take it all in. This is your moment. Enjoy it.
It is. I'm trying to, but what pains me is that when people don't appreciate the greatness of this man, it pains me when I put him in the upper echelon of 1 and 2 top players in the game. People try to take that away from him. Let's be clear about this. Klay had a great game tonight. They have a very good team all around. He is that team. He is the system. When he was missing a couple games this year, when they had the same cast of characters they got out on the very court today, they was playing 300 basketball. When he comes back in, they start winning. He is the system. So that's the thing that separates him, I think, from a lot of players. He does way more than scoring. He had a great block tonight in the game. Curry was like, man, get that out of here, boy. It's my house. This is my house.
He still was 5 for 17. He only scored 15 points. This closeout game was all about Klay, though. You got to give him props.
No, it was about Klay. Klay did his thing. Listen, Luka is a baller. I'm not hating on Luka at all. Shout out to everybody on here. We got a couple on here. Mr. Wing, Herb, Sergeant Bass. What's going on? Shout out to y'all, man. Good to see y'all in the building. My man Gangadar. He said Luka's the Western Conference Finals MVP. Luka had a good finals, but let's be clear about this. Some of them 40-point games Luka had was cat. They was cat. And I'm gonna tell you why they was cat. Both those games he had 40. He got a lot of suspect calls. He went to the free throw line 15. He shot 15 times one game and 17 times the other game. It was cat. It was cat. He did his thing.
I wouldn't call it cap. Sometimes you just getting the whistle. You seen it. We looked at the finals. Some people went to the finals 39 times to the line. At times, we saw Shaq did that. They did that a few times.
Exactly. Shaq and Jordan is probably the main ones you see, and DeAndre Jordan, because they were playing hacker Jordan and sending him to the line purposely. A lot of them calls he got, you really don't get. Look how many times he go to the line tonight. He ended with 28 points. Tonight he went to the line 7 times.
That's
5 for 7. That's foul. That's playoff fouls. That's what they go. He shoots a lot of threes. He shot 13 3-pointers. The games he went to the line 10, 15 times, 17 times. He shot 10 and 11 3-pointers both games. He shoots a lot of threes. So anybody who shoots that many threes and goes to the line, and goes to the paint occasionally. I'm not saying he don't go to the paint, but he was getting sent to the free throw line at like almost like a 40% clip. Like that's crazy. Yeah, come on now.
I know that was your team, so everything you ain't see a foul on other plays. Herb, though, I do. You gotta appreciate that player development with Looney and Mooney and Poole. You're right. You're right. I hope the Sixers look at this and say, you know what? Look how they've developed their young players, and they played the young boy. The young boy gonna get abused next round when they play against Boston. But he was serviceable in this round of the playoffs.
You talking about Poole? You think Poole gonna get served or Kuminga?
Kuminga.
Oh yeah, I can see. Kuminga, he has pure raw athleticism.
Yeah,
I would love for a player like that to be in the Sixers. This dude jumped like a kangaroo. He jumping out the building. They have plenty of jumpers on their team. They got Kuminga. They got Gary Payton II, who's actually hurt. They lost him, and if you remember, he lost him in the last series against Memphis. Yeah, another dude. I would love to see him in a dunk contest. He got bunnies. But I do the player development. Kerr did a great job. I talked about this. I mean, y'all all tried to shut me up because I understand why he's on the Sixers. But I was making a reference how Kerr puts the players out there to watch them to let them get that practice. The best practice you can get is game practice. Is no other experience you could get better than playing in the game. I don't care how much you play in practice and the 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s and 5-on-5 drills. All that is no better experience than game experience. He lets them play in the games, and that's why on the biggest stage in the Western Conference Finals, he got rookies out there playing. He had Moody and Kuminga.
Yep, and they was contributing.
They did. Got a heart, Mrs. Carton, you Gangnam Star. Harden, I call Harden out on that. If you was here a while ago, I don't know if I mentioned on the pod. Harden had that streak. He has the longest streak for 30 plus games or something like that. I can't remember what the streak was. I went back that season and looked at all them games. That streak is fraudulent. To me, the streak is fraudulent. You know how many games he had? He had a couple games where he was shooting 19, close to 20 free throws a game to get some of them games. He would have if he would have shot a normal 9 free throws game, that streak would have been ended. That streak would have never even existed. But he's a master at getting fouls. They was calling fouls, send them to the line. This is when they let the swipe through, when you could go to the line and swipe through. And he ranked up a gang of calls and made a ton of trips to the line. And that's why he was able to get that streak. But that streak, to me, a little bit suspect, in my humble opinion.
What do you think of the giving out MVPs for the conferences? So this year, the first time they gave a Western Conference MVP, there's going to be an Eastern Conference MVP. So Steph finally got his MVP, even though it's for the East, just for the Western Conference Final, even though he probably didn't deserve it, because I think Klay probably contributed more. But what do you like that new do you like that new way they're doing that format?
I think you say stuff just to get me upset. You say stuff just to rile me up. You do this. We play this little cat and mouse game with each other. But you say something because you know you're gonna get a reaction out of it. But I like the. I honestly always thought that the Finals MVP should encompass the whole playoffs. Whoever won for the final should win because of what you did in rounds 1 through 4. That's how I always felt, in my opinion. But so I kind of, I say to say I kind of like the award because it gives you an opportunity to kind of validate what you did through these couple rounds. But I always personally felt the Finals MVP should be in for the entire playoffs, and whoever played best the entire playoffs, because whoever's there, you've been through the entire playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I always felt about that. But I mean, I think it's a cool award to kind of, to give out. I'm glad Steph won it, even though it wasn't one of his best Western Conferences, statistically wise.
Yeah, it was okay. That's what I said.
He did his thing. I mean, the first game, he led Golden State, I think, every game in scoring except this one. The first game, he led all scorers. I think he had like 21, but Luka had 20. Then next game, he had 31. That's when Luka had his 40-point game. He had 30. Steph had 31 and 32. Then the game after that, game 3, I can't remember how much he had. I think he had another 30-point game in game 3. He had 2 30-point games, I think, this series. Then game 4, they got ran off the court. That game was a rout. And then this game that they won. So, I mean, he's the best player in the teams. Like I said, he is the system. He makes it go. So, by default, he probably deserves an MVP anytime they win any series, to be honest with you. But it was cool. I thought the award was cool.
Special shout out to the bull, Andrew Wiggins too, man. He looked like this is the perfect fit for him playing in Golden State. He don't got to be the number 1. He can be number 2, like him and Klay could be 1 and 2, and then Steph could easily grow as like one of the third.
I agree with that. I mean, the way they got him coming up is going to add longevity to his career, and he could kind of be like how Reggie Miller was phasing out in Golden State when you had Ron Artest and Steven Jackson, all other boys.
Right.
And he kind of just do his thing, still draw a little bit of attention because he could shoot, but it's kind of passing the torch, but you still could win. Like that team, the whole Malice and the Polish John, which was a great documentary, by the way. That team could have easily won a championship with the firepower that they had on that
And
squad.
Phil, I agree with you. Next year, I need to see Reese and Reed and Bassey the same way that Kerr had played his young boys. We got to play them. I don't want to hear because Doc just didn't never gave him a shot. So I want to see the same thing. There's a template out there that if you play the young boys, give them experience during the regular season, they'll be contributors in the playoffs, like you saying right now. I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Tip my hat to again to Dallas. They play hard. Nobody expected them to be there. Nobody expected them to beat Phoenix. They did in a wild fashion. That game. So that's what got me a little nervous about this series. Because I'm like, man, if they Golden State got the tendency sometimes to play around a little bit, if you will, with certain games. And if Dallas come out and start splashing, they Luka Magic, everybody screaming Luka Magic, referee's gonna be giving favorable calls.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. And that's exactly what happened to Phoenix. That's exactly what happened to Phoenix. That game 7, they did to Phoenix game 7 what they did to Golden State game 4, where they came out just guns a blazing, everything splashing, and they was able to to pull that series out. But shout out to them, they did their thing, and shout out to Golden State for going back to the finals 6 times in 8 years. That's impressive in itself.
Yeah.
A real quick, Herb, he asked, "What do you think about the Joel Embiid tweet? You think that is some shenanigans behind that, or no?"
I don't know if he was trolling, being just Joel, but he ain't going nowhere. We're not being traded. We're not going. He can say whatever he wants. I think Jimmy, if they lose, when Miami loses, I do believe Miami's going to lose the series. Jimmy gonna have a lot to say, and they might be like, "We done with Jimmy." So he may work his way back to Philly. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I do want to.
Did they just resign him didn't they just extend his contract?
He just got extended last year, 2021. So I mean, but they might be tired. Remember, he was fighting the coach on the sideline and end of the year. So I don't know if they just tired of Jimmy.
So what we gonna give him for Jimmy? They're gonna have to trade. They're gonna take Tobias. They ain't taking no Tobias.
Yeah, they're not gonna. We might
the only way
we might add another team in there or something.
Yeah, the only way you would get them to probably trade you like Jimmy for Tobias if they somehow could get their hands on Zach LaVine or something. If they get Zach LaVine, then they could be a little bit more motivated to move Jimmy for another piece, and then you might be able to work it out.
Yeah, I do gotta congratulate. Dallas made a very good in-season trade with trading for Spencer Dinwiddie. That was getting rid of the unicorn. Like, he just didn't work for that team. When they got Spencer Dinwiddie, he gave him some punch off the bench. I mean, in this closeout game, I think he had over 20-something points tonight. He came in there and balling. He had 26 points, hit 5 3-pointers. So he came out to play. He showed up. So really, Dallas has a lot to grow on from this season as well. I mean,
shout out to you, because I think you mentioned earlier, I do have to give you props. I think you mentioned you wanted Sixers to get Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
you're saying that early on, so I do got
cheaper.
I gotta give you props for that, because he definitely stepped up. I mean, he came off the bench at one point. I think it was this game. Their bench was leading their starters in scoring, and he was one of the main reasons why Dinwiddie couldn't miss. He kept the game. If it wasn't for Dinwiddie, this game would have been over, and probably with 3 minutes left to go in the second quarter, this game would have been over. Yeah. They would have had. They went into the halftime with like a 19, I think, point lead. They legit would have probably went in the halftime with almost a 30-point lead that went for Dinwiddie. He was
quiet as kept. They played themselves, the Nets, for actually allowing him to leave as a free agent. If I was them, they should have signed him instead of letting him sign with Washington. They should have just re-signed him. They probably would have won, especially with them Kyrie games missing, Dinwiddie and the backcourt, Dinwiddie and Harden and Durant. That would have been a nice combination. Then you got Kyrie coming in. They played him, so I think that was a dismiss last year by not re-signing him.
But, no, I agree with you on that. I mean,
what happened was when Dallas traded for them, they got hot. I think they only lost like 10 games once they made that trade for them. That was a big pickup for them.
I agree. I think it was a gutsy move by Dallas to even trade, like you said, the unicorn when they moved him out. I thought everybody was kind of like, I don't know. But, I mean, you would like to hopefully think that you could get those two dudes to grow together, kind of like we wanted Ben and Embiid and all that kind of stuff like that. But it just wasn't a good fit for whatever reason. Luka's game and his game didn't mesh well
Yeah.
together. And you ain't trading Luka. Luka definitely a better player than the Unicorn. I was trying to tell everybody this before too. I don't know why we still call him the Unicorn, but whatever. But everybody was all Unicorn. He different. I said, yo, I don't really see it like that. I don't really see it like that. And Dallas didn't really see it like that. So they saw Luka was more of the Unicorn. He like the white LeBron for real, where he could pass, he could shoot. If he continues to improve his game, he gonna be one of the top 3 players in the game easily.
Oh yeah.
But one thing he got to stop crying so much too. He cried too much for me.
Herb, you know we're on the same page as far as Ben. I will bring him back too. But Mac for better tomorrow. I think your statement is 100% accurate, and I'm gonna read it. It says Steph's great, but the playoff shows his weakness. Steph can have a bad game or series and his team wins. That's why he don't have the championship MVP. LeBron and Jordan had teams that couldn't win without them as the number one. 100% agree with you.
See, I don't agree with that. Let me ask you this. See, and this is that, and y'all about to start.
100% agree with you.
Let me y'all about to start me on my tangent about Jordan, right? Go look at Jordan's stats for the season for the series they won against the Seattle SuperSonics. Remember when on the final season, John, whatever it was called, when Jordan tried to laugh off Gary Payton when Gary Payton said he put the clamps on Jordan. Watch Jordan's numbers on that when Gary Payton put the clamps on him. Jordan won with almost the exact same stats, right, that Curry had when he lost the Finals MVP when they gave it to Iguodala. Remember that? And actually, Curry shot better from the field goal and from the three. Obviously, he didn't really shoot that many threes. But Steph was more efficient. Steph averaged 26 points. Jordan averaged 27. Pimpin actually had a pretty solid series that game. He had a couple down games, but Pimpin had a solid series as well. You could have argued that Pimpin could have won the MVP because a couple games Jordan stunk it up. Pimpin and Kukoc came to the rescue. And surprise, a lot of people don't know this. The 1993 Bulls, the year they was going for their championship, when the Knicks was up 2-0, remember, and the Bulls came back and won 4 straight? Yep. You know how many good games Jordan had that series? He had 2 good games in a 6-game series. He played like trash. Nobody know that because nobody look at the stats. Jordan shot 1 game. He shot 16% from the field, 16% in a closeout game. And Pippen saved them. Pippen had a monster game and saved them in the closeout game. Thus, they win. But everybody, Jordan has this mythical aura around him. No bad. That's why Jordan would have won. They would have. No. Everybody.
I'm going to have to look into it right now. I need to see for myself.
I'll pull the stats up for you. I sent them to the text board that we use with Brandon, that I'm on with Brandon with. So send them all to the text board. Look at them stats from that Knicks series and see how bad Jordan had 2 good games out of 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Pippen saved them. That's why Pimp was so mad about the documentary too when Jordan didn't give him his props. But
he didn't. He was salty. Listen, what the matchup? Who do you want to win?
Let me finish. Let me finish my rant though. But all that being said, everybody gets on this. Steph has a weakness in the playoff. I don't. What you mean playoff? If you want to say he had a bad finals against Cleveland on a 3-1 comeback, all right, you can give me that. But what other playoffs are you talking about? You do realize with the Western Conference Finals, the year that they lost KD, when they swept Portland, Steph had from the highest points per game in the Western Conference Finals in history when they swept Portland. Do you realize that? Like, what games are y'all talking about where he shows his weakness? Now, I will say Steph night now, to me, this is probably the, I guess I'm going to say, worst version of Steph that I've seen in the playoffs in general. Because he's obviously getting older. He's doing a lot of run around. He's wearing himself down. He's 33 years old. You ain't going to be able to run like this forever. So I think you're going to start, in my opinion, from this point, you may see a little bit of decline of Steph Curry's game. Yeah. But they did a good job of getting some solid players around him to help him win. But he's still the reason why they win. His movement, his shooting, his passing. He had 9 assists tonight. He only had 15 points, but he had 9 dimes. So his movement and passing is still very impactful in them winning games. So I don't
Mac for better tomorrow. Make another point. Like, Steph is a one-way player, whereas Jordan and LBJ they both are two-way players.
Steph led the league in steals, though. Did that count? That don't count?
No, they don't. They just it's okay.
So steals don't count for them. It's like blocks. And if somebody led the league in blocks, oh, he's a great defensive player, led them blocks. So
It's okay.
Steals don't mean nothing.
It's okay. He's not on the. He's a couple steals a game. Okay.
All right. I guess Steph gets a bad rap. I do agree with Herb. Steph get a bad rap. You know why Steph get a bad rap? Because he's not 6'6" and taller. Everybody feels that you got to be 6. You got to be Kobe Bryant, 6'7". You got to be Shaq. Got to be Embiid to dominate the game. That's why Kevin Durant gets so much love, even though he's not a great leader, even though he never won a championship without Steph Curry. But Kevin Durant, automatically, everybody, oh, he's the greatest player in the game. And then you got Skip Bayless. Everybody listens to them. He's the greatest player in the game. And they get all these extra unnecessary props because everybody feels he's tall. He should be able to win. People said that. Height matters. Height does matter. I'm not saying it don't. Yeah. But Steph Curry is different. It's something different about this dude he transcends all of that. And that's what makes him great. And that's why, again, without KD, without all these other people, he's still back in the finals because of him.
Because they got more talent. They reloaded. And it's not his fault that he's on another great team. He's fortunate. He's one of the rare athletes that the team keeps around him with great players.
I agree. Their organization is tremendous. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I still feel they are built around his style of play majority. Even look at this past series. Klay had a terrible. He's probably more often than not, you would say he's the second best player in the team or third best player, depending on where you rank pool. But he struggled the whole series, and they still won 4. They won in a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. Wiggins stepped up, did his thing. Poole stepped up, did his thing. But ultimately, Steph Curry is the end-all, be-all of that team. He's the one who makes it go. He's the one who makes it win. So shout out to Steph. I got to stop this narrative that people try to paint that Steph in the playoffs is somehow lesser version of himself. He still has one of the highest playoff averages in history. He's up there with LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe for one of the highest playoff averages in history. So what is this struggle that people talk about? I don't get it. He had the one finals when they lost the 3-1 lead. After that, you do realize he played in 3 finals since then. We do realize that. We going back to 2016. He's played in 3 finals since then, and he's had great numbers.
Kevin Durant won 2 titles, so congratulations.
Yeah, KD won. He won KD 2 titles, absolutely.
So does he have to win the finals to solidify his legacy, or would it hurt? What does the legacy be hurt if they lose again in the finals?
My mind, no, but a lot of people's probably yes. I think he's solidified as one of the top 15 all time. If he wins finals, and in most people's mind, finals MVP, which I really don't care about because, like I said, he should have had one. So everybody tries to make like that's such a big deal. But if he, in the majority of casual fans' minds, if he wins the finals, win finals MVP, it'll probably catapult him in the top 10. In my mind, he's in top 10 already. It don't matter to me. We'll have to make that list on one of these shows. When we get on here earlier, we need to jump on here one day, like a good 8 o'clock time, so we can really get in the minutia of top 10 all time players. But in my opinion, he on the list. What about you? I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel it'll change if he loses versus if he wins and wins final MVP? Do you think that it change your feelings on him?
No, because I have respect for him. I think he's done a lot. He's for the game. So he'll be top 20 regardless. Win or lose, he'll still be top 20.
So if he wins MVP, did I move him up for you?
I have to do a list off the top of my head, maybe a couple notches. But I really have to do the list. I don't want to just say yes for sure. I know you're a Steph fan. Steph is your guy. So, but me being objective, just looking up there, I have to see. I mean, 4 championships is nothing to sneeze about. So, he probably can make my top 15 easy.
I mean, in my mind, it's not necessarily the 4 to me. I see, and this is what I don't understand. Mac for tomorrow said Steph couldn't carry a team to the playoffs. I mean, so like I said, this year when Steph didn't play.
Okay, look at the year when he did play. and the team didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what the crazy part is? They actually did make the playoffs. If it was any other year, they would have went in at AC. You do realize they finished 8th, and the playing game is what put them out. So in any other,
but that's not.
no. But my point is, you're basing him off the history of other people carrying their teams into the playoffs. So if you base it off of history, where everybody else on this line of great athletes and all this kind of stuff like that, they would have went. As a matter of fact, I think they might have been 7th. They was either 7th or 8th, and Lakers was. I'm not sure which one. Either Lakers was 7, they was 8, or the Lakers was 8 and they was 7. But regardless of that, I honestly feel if they'd have gotten to the playoffs that year, I firmly believe last year they very well may have ended up in the Western Conference Finals. Steph was playing that hot, and that team was on a roll. They actually won before that playoff, before the 2 playing games. I think they won like 8 straight games. They was on a roll. But that's neither here nor there. My thing is, this year, that team without Steph Curry was playing at 30%. 300 basketball without Steph Curry. He comes back into the lineup and they went. He is the team. He carries that team as far as they go. If you replace, I honestly feel if you replace Curry with another very good player, Kyrie, they're not as successful. Kyrie's a great player. I don't know. They're not successful. Curry is that he is the backbone of that franchise. All the players said. Draymond said in his podcast, he's our leader. He's a dude we look to.
I do believe he's a strong leader. I won't say he's not. But I'm saying if you give Kyrie with that team with a whole off season, preseason, regular season, I think he could be just as complete. That team would be just as powerful, just as Ryder's winning streak, just as much.
He's the common denominator. He's the common denominator to them being successful. If you notice the games that he played bad when they lost that 3-1 lead, he played bad. That's why they lost. It wasn't that Klay played bad. Klay played okay a couple of them games. He had a couple of down games here and there, but ultimately they win and die with Steph Curry. More often than not, when he plays bad, they lose. And that lets you know who the nucleus of the team is. That's why everybody constantly goes back to the 2016, John, and talks about Steph Curry's bad player performances because a lot of people, including Skip Bayless, who's the loudest voice about this whole thing, wanted him to beat LeBron. He played bad. They lost. That's the bottom line. So he's the nucleus of the squad. So, I mean, I'm not, and Phil, I'm not hating on Klay. Klay is the man. I'm just saying, Klay, this series, Klay was shooting 27%. He had a great game. He owed them this game. He owed Jose this game. Klay was off. He had a phenomenal game. Klay is the man. Klay will go down, in my opinion, as one of the greatest wingmen. He's with pimping. He's what Kobe was when Kobe was with Shaq before Kobe became Kobe. And he was kind of Shaq wingman. He wasn't really Shaq equal yet until probably last championship and then, the last couple of years together. And then they kind of became equals. And Kobe, ascended his game to a whole new level. But Klay is one of the greatest wingmen, one of the greatest Robins in the history of basketball.
He's also a little Batman at times, but you disrespecting Klay. I'm looking at his game logs for this conference finals. He averaged his shooting percentage was 49%. That's pretty darn good. From 3-point land, it was only 32, but he shot 49% from the field and averaged 18.6 points a game in this conference. Klay Thompson. So you sitting there trying to act like
conference finals?
Yes, these Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, he must have been shooting 27%. This game got him up. He was shooting 27% from.
He shot 49% from the field for the whole entire for the series.
How many threes he shoot?
Well, he shot 32% from three.
I mean, how many 3-pointers did he shoot? Did it say that? Would he average?
It's not averaging how many. He averaged 3.
He averaged 3 3-pointers attempts a game. How many attempts did he take?
8. He took 8.
Okay.
Okay. But he shot 49% from the field.
You're not letting me ask the question. How many 2-point field goals did he average?
He averaged 7.
So exactly my point. So you take more threes than you take 2-pointers. And you was way worse.
No, I'm talking about he made 7. He averaged 7 makes. He took 15.
He took 15 2-pointers or field goals in general. You talking about 2-pointers?
15 field goal, 15. Well, let's just say field goals.
Okay, that's my point. So
They're not giving me. They're not giving me.
Do the math. Do the math. If he took 15 field goal attempts, 8 threes, that's what's left. That's 7 2-pointers. So he's actually taking more threes than twos, and he's shooting threes worse. So you taking less twos, you're gonna help your average out. That's cool. Okay, you making 3.5 2-pointers a game out of 7. That's okay. But you're only taking 7 2-pointers. That's not that much.
But the 3-pointers is what? 8?
Yes, and he was shooting 27%.
It's only one more. It's literally only one more shot that he's taking from.
But he was shooting 27% from it. So that's why. What's his overall field goal? What was his overall field goal?
49%. I keep telling you, it's 49%.
I gotta look at it
because he shot 49% from the field, 18.6 points a game.
Listen, Klay won the top player. Listen, I do agree. I think Klay won the top player in the league. I still do believe Klay is more of a.
And this is him coming back from an injury.
Yeah, he had 2 years off. But I'm not hating, but he took his time coming back. No, see, it's not hating on Klay. I watch Golden State all the time. So even before this injury, Klay would have very up and down games. Even before the injury, he had games where he came up huge. Game 6, Klay, that's solidified. He come up huge in game 6s for the most part. So I'm not hating on Klay, but I do know who Klay is. Klay is a very good basketball player, but he's a very strong byproduct of what they do with Curry and how he runs around. And most of the time, Klay just gets spot up, shoot shots. He moves, get to a spot, pull up. He can play with his back to the basket, pretty nice turnaround. Jay Klay's a very good player. I'm not hating on Klay.
Exactly.
But the matter is, Steph is the man on that team, and he makes them go.
Steph is the team is built around Steph. And Steph garners a lot of attention. We all agree with that, which allows others to get off at times. But I'm looking at this 18.6 points a game. That's pretty impressive with 49% shooting. You can't take that away from me. And he averaged 3.5 assists a game.
How many points and assists and rebounds did Steph average? And that'll show you everything you need to know.
We talking about Klay.
Exactly. Exactly. But listen, Klay the man, I'm not hating on Klay. He did his thing. That whole team is playing well. You can't hate on Wiggins. I love how Wiggins turned the whole narrative about his career around. I dig that. I'm happy for him. I really am, man. If I see that dude, I would shake his hand and be like, yo, you earned it the hard way because Bulls was tearing your back out for being a number 1 pick and not being what you're supposed to be. He didn't cower like some players we know who was number 1 picks. He didn't go into his shell. He didn't need to support basketball to walk around with and all this other stuff like that. We're not saying no names. We're not calling nobody out.
I'm not hating that, man.
But he didn't need all that. He worked hard. He grinded, and he is well-deserved all-star this year. And he is one of the main core pieces to why they in the position to win a championship. And Phil says he don't think they win it. He said he don't think they beating the Boston. Listen, that's going to be a challenge. If I was a betting man, I would not. This almost is a pick'em series, like they say. I would not bet on Golden State. Boston defense is legit. They got ballers. I do think it's going to be a very entertaining series, though.
And the Bulls, Steph for his field goal percentage was 43.9% for the from the field for this conference. Now he did shoot 42% from 3-point land, but overall 43.9. That's not good. That's
how many points did he average?
23.8.
How many assists?
7.5, 7.4.
How many rebounds?
6.
So you talking about a person that's very good stats. 23, 7, and 6.
I'm a superstar. Superstar.
I mean, like I said, I did say Steph, in my opinion,
is on the decline.
I think he is a little bit. I think he is. I don't think it helped that they changed the rules and the basketball in 1 year for a lot of shooters, not just for Steph, but you've seen our very own Seth Curry before he got traded. His 3-point field goal was down 5 points from what it was. Yeah. He went from 40 to 45. I do think the way they called the game this year and the way and the change of the basketball, I think may have affected a lot of shooters. I've seen a lot of, especially players who've been in the league for a while. I've seen a lot of shooters struggle with their 3-point field goal this year. Now, some of them young players still did good because they wasn't used to playing with the new ball.
Yeah.
Spalding, I think they went from Wilson to Spalding. but I think that may have had a little bit of effect. But
Mac feel better tomorrow. I like what you're saying. I do believe that Golden State, with Rob Williams, the boy Al Horford, that's going to be a struggle with them a little bit because the Golden State's just not as big as Boston. Boston is pretty big down low. So
they are.
I don't know how that's going to work out with them, and they play a real physical brand of basketball. I mean, if Marcus Smart, D'ing up. I don't know who he's going to be D'ing up. If he's going to be on Klay, or is he going to be on Wiggins, or is he going to be on Steph? But that's going to be a challenge. I don't know. I don't know. They play real physical. The only thing that may be in that corner or that may help them out is the fact that Boston's banged up big time.
I think I do agree with you. I think Marcus Smart going to play Steph. I think they're going to let him play Steph, and then if depending on if Steph start cooking, then they might try to put a little bit more height on him with Tatum or whatchamacallit, Jaylen Brown. But my thing is, the thing that makes it hard to do that with this Golden State team is that Poole and Wiggins have stepped up so much. And then don't let Klay get on the roll like tonight and start blacking out. Then you don't know what to do. You're like, all right, who do I go on who? Because if I put too much defense on Klay, then Steph might start snapping. And then if I take it off Steph and Jaylen Poole or Wiggins.
But they got three strong defenders. You could put Tatum, Smart, and Jaylen Brown. They got three defenders to match Steph and Poole and Klay. So they got the matchup. That's what I said. It was going to come down to the big men. Can the big men bang with their big men? And then Al Horford can still hit a open three. He's still banging down threes and everything. I like Boston. If Boston make it, I like Boston. If the Heat go, I like Golden State.
I agree. I could agree with both that. Boston going to be a tough out, man. And I agree with what you said with Big Al. I think Big Al may be the X factor in this whole thing. If he could get out there and start knocking down threes, it's going to make life very difficult for Golden State. But Golden State got hitters. If they on their game, if Golden State shows up, let's say they go to 7 and Golden State shows up 4, I think Golden State can show up 4 times. They shooters can show up enough 4 times that they can win the finals. But they're going to have to be on their game. Boston, to me, and they both did. Truth be told, both Boston and Golden State showed times where they could be goofy and let their guard down. The glaring game, obviously, for Golden State is the Memphis 55-point lead that they had at one point. I think they ended up winning by like 30, but they was up by like 50 at one point. I don't think we ever see maybe the Phoenix made a Phoenix Dallas series. I think Dallas was up real extra big, like 40 at one point.
Yeah.
But Golden State was legit down 55 points in that game. But that was a game. Kerr was out. They had the boy Mike Brown coaching and all that kind of stuff. So we might be able to chalk that off to that. But they both shown they could play goofy at times in this playoff series. But it's going to be a good series, I think.
Now here's the thing: my Golden State got the home court advantage.
They do. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the standings now. Golden State finished with 53 wins. 53 and 29, and Boston finished 51 and 31.
Wow.
So if Miami wins, they have home court. But if Boston going to win that series, the championship goes to Golden State.
Golden State, if I'm not mistaken, have yet to lose a home game this year.
Ooh. Not this year. No. You're talking about playoffs.
I'm talking the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah, they have yet to use a home game in the playoffs this year. If I'm not mistaken, I think they undefeated so far at home. So, I mean, they get Boston. Boston going to still win in Golden State.
Yeah.
Golden State dangerous in Golden State, man. Yeah. The last thing I would want to see, it would pain me if they go to 7 and Steph have like a bad game 7. Oh. Oh, the trolls. The trolls would be too much for me. I don't think I would be able to do a podcast for at least 2-3 months. I think the trolls would be so. I couldn't listen to Skip because Skip would be, the 2016. He talked about finals 6 years ago.
He won't let it go. He won't let it go.
These dudes, that's another thing. This is why I appreciate the pod and everybody who listened, because I hate the regurgitated points about players. You talking six? He literally has Steph frozen in time in his mind where he won't let. He done played in 3 finals. This is gonna be his 4th final since then. He's still bringing up 2016.
He do. He will.
I can't even. Once you start, I actually turn it off. I listen to Shannon. Then once you start talking, because I watch it mostly on YouTube Shorts. And once you start talking, I turn it off because I know where you're going with it. But,
yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. So Golden State has a few days. They may not get back on the court till next Wednesday. So at least they got some time to rest up and get ready for the finals. And if they play in Boston, they're gonna be hosting in San Francisco.
I don't know who I want to root for though, because I still think, like you said, Miami's the easier matchup. Even though they don't have home court, I still think they could go into Miami and beat Miami down. So I'm still kind of rooting for Miami a little bit because I do want to see, obviously, Golden State win regardless who they play. But I don't know. I don't know who I want to root for now. But her, I do agree with you. Looney and Draymond is not getting pumped. Looney may look soft, but he ain't soft. Looney is a monster. I told boys this too. If Looney and Klay didn't get hurt like that when that year, even though KD got hurt and they played Toronto in the finals, I firmly believe if Looney and Klay didn't get hurt, Golden State still wins that championship. But some of those things we'll never know.
All right. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
You see Herb last comment? He said, can y'all set up notification when y'all come on, please? So that's Tim's job. He's the guy in the chair. He's responsible for setting up notifications. He's responsible for the titles that come on our video. So if y'all have beef, look at him. Where's he at? Here on my screen.
Yeah, you the right way. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Him.
All right, y'all. We appreciate the love. We'll be back here maybe tomorrow, but definitely Saturday.
Sorry, couldn't have the full cast. Ethan and Wayne is frauds. They're supposed to be on, so I'm calling them.
Sleeping like babies. We will be on on the finals. We'll be on every night after the game. Every game will be on all 4 of us.
Maybe we supposed to be on the night too, but whatever.
Thanks for watching, y'all. We out.
Deuces.